So Module 9, Homework 2. Equations of lines, which we talked about in Test 1. So we're going back to Test 1 to kind of bring everything full circle with the equations of lines. So in this section, this is what we're going to do. Find the slope, use the slope, write the equations in slope-intercept form and in standard form, and then determine if they're parallel or perpendicular. So slope-intercept form is the form y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b, where m, oh, it's so nice, is our slope. And b is our y-intercept. As you get older, it's the little things like a new pen that make you happy. Yes. No, these are the best pencils. I'm only getting these pencils now. And I think the eraser is better. All right, so that's our slope-intercept form. So notice it has our slope and our y-intercept. We also have what's called standard form. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. Or no, a, b, and c are not fractions. They're just numbers. They don't tell us anything like any good information. They just are numbers. Or a, b, and c are just numbers. We have to put it in slope-intercept form to tell us anything. So it says write the equation in slope-intercept form. Remember, slope-intercept form is that y equals mx plus b. Of the line that has a slope of -3, so it's telling us our slope, which is our m value, is -3. And our y-intercept is 0, 7. Remember, our y-intercept is the ordered pair 0, b. So it's telling us that b is +7. Let me zoom in. It's a little bit far. So we have y equals our slope, which is -3, x, and then our b is +7. So y equals -3x plus 7. Done. That's it. Stop me if you have a question. The next one says find the equation of a line with a slope of 11/10. So it's telling us our m value is 11/10. Through the point -10, -13. Now notice this isn't the y-intercept. It's not 0, b. It's just a random point. So a random point is just an x and y. X, y. And it's telling us to write our answer in the form of y equals mx plus b. All right, so dealing with y equals mx plus b. They're telling us that our y value is -31. So -31 equals m, which they told us is 11/10, times x, which they told us is -10, plus b. So notice they didn't give us our y-intercept, but I could use this to solve for b. So we can plug in our given information to find b. Plug in our given info to find b. So I can rewrite -10 as -10/1. Because remember, when you remultiply it, top times top, bottom times bottom. So -31 equals 11 times -10, which is -110, all over 10, plus b. By the way, if you want to instead cancel out your 10s, that's fine too. You get the same answer. Negative 110 divided by 10 will simplify down to negative 11. So negative 31 equals negative 11 plus b. Negative 31 equals negative 11 plus b. Almost done. How can I get b by itself? Yeah, so it's negative, so you do the opposite. So you want to add 11 to both sides. So adding 11 to both sides. That one was weird because there's a plus sign. That's why I asked. Sorry, I didn't mean to trick you. But there's a negative out front, so we're going to do the opposite. We're going to add 11. That way, negative 11 plus 11 cancels out. So we're left over with negative 31 plus 11, which is negative 20. Equals b. Perfect. So now putting my answer in, y equals mx plus b form. They told us in the problem that our slope, our m value is 11 over 10. And we found our b to be negative 20. So our final answer, plugging in our slope and our y-intercept, is y equals 11 over 10x minus 20. Notice, leave x and y as x and y because that counts for every single point on the line. So leave x and y as variables so we can change it for every point. So they didn't give us our b value, so we can plug in what they gave us to find b. So questions, comments, concerns. I want everyone to get 100 on test 4. That's my goal. Maybe 105 if we be ambitious. So how can I help you get to that goal? How can I help you make this one easier? Anything? Not ready for the next one? Next page. All right, so it brings up parallel and perpendicular. It says find the equation for the line that's parallel to y equals negative 1 over 8x plus 2 and goes to the point negative 1, 6. Write your answer in the form of y equals mx plus b. All right, so let's first talk about perpendicular lines. So perpendicular lines, we know cross at a 90-degree angle. Perpendicular lines cross at a 90-degree angle. So because it's a 90-degree angle, that tells us about our slope. Our slopes are going to be opposites. So for perpendicular lines, our slope is going to be opposite. So that means opposite sign. So one's positive, one's negative. Reciprocals. Reciprocals is just a fancy word for saying flip the fraction. So by having opposite signs, one's positive, one's negative, and flipping our fraction, that will give us opposite slopes. Our opposite slopes will tell us that they're perpendicular. These two lines are going to cross at a 90-degree angle. All right, so it's saying that find the equation for the line that's perpendicular to y equals negative 1/8 x plus 2. So thankfully, this is already in y equals mx plus b form for us. So what is the slope of this line? Negative 1/8. So this slope is negative 1/8. But I don't want slope. I want to use that slope to find the perpendicular slope. So the perpendicular slope this one's negative, so our new one's going to be positive. Our perpendicular slope. This one's negative, so our new one's going to be positive. And we're going to flip the fraction. So instead of 1 over 8, we're now going to have 8 over 1. So positive 8 over 1, which is just 8. Notice, I don't care about the plus 2. The plus 2 is for the perpendicular line. I don't care. I want to have a new line. And the new line we know is going to have a new slope that's 8. So for this problem, we know now our slope is going to be 8. And they give us the point -1, 6. So the slope that we're going to use is 8, and the point we're going to use is -1, 6. Now it's just like the previous problem. They give us this point, which is just an x value and a y value. And then they give us m. So let's plug in y equals mx plus b. They tell us that y is positive 6, m is positive 8, x is -1, plus b. Simplifying, I have 6 equals 8 times -1, so -8, plus b. So just like the previous problem, how would I get b by itself here? Add 8, good. It's -8, so to do the opposite, we're going to add 8 to both sides. That way -8 plus 8 cancels out. We're left over with 6 plus 8, which is 14, equals b. So now I have my slope and I have my b. So let's plug this into y equals mx plus b to give us our final answer. So y equals m is positive 8, x plus b, which is positive 14. Done. Y equals 8x plus 14. So we just use information they gave us to find our slope that we're going to actually use, and then they gave us the point. So questions, comments, concerns, how could I help you with this one? How can I help you with this one? All right, if not, let's do this next one. Fair warning, the numbers are really ugly on this one. But at least we're doing it together. So find the equation of the line that passes through the point 5, 2 and is parallel to the line -3x plus 2y equals 8. So now we're talking about parallel lines. So parallel lines are two lines that never cross. So if they never cross, that means they have to have the same steepness. The same steepness is the same slope. So for parallel lines, they have the same slope. Parallel lines have the same slope. So if it tells us it's parallel to the line -3x plus 12y equals 8, I could use this equation to find this slope. Once I know it's this slope, our new slope is going to be the same thing. So let's use a different color. So if they give us -3x plus 2y equals 8, we need to put this into y equals mx plus b form to find our slope. Just by looking at this, it's not in y equals mx plus b form, it's actually in standard form. So I can't just look at it and find the slope. I have to actually do a little bit of math. So what should I do first to get y by itself? Add 3x. Move that negative 3x to the other side. So we're going to add 3x to both sides. That way negative 3x plus 3x cancels out. We're left over with 2y equals 3x plus 8. I was worried about you because I seen you out there. I was worried about you. All right, so 2y equals 3x plus 8. So last but not least, oh, let me write it the wrong color. Sorry, it's going to bother me. So 2y equals 3x plus 8. So last but not least, let's get y by itself. It's 2 times y. So let's divide everything by 2. On both sides of the equation, so the 3x and the 8 are both being divided by 2. And we're left over with y equals 3 over 2x plus 8 divided by 2, which is 4. So we did it. We put it into y equals mx plus b form. So what is this slope? 3 over 2, thank you. So our parallel slope is going to be the same. So it's still going to be 3 over 2. So now we know the slope that we're going to use. So all of that was just like pre-stuff to give us our slope. So now we know the slope we're going to use is 3 over 2. And the point they gave us was 5, 2. They gave us x is 5, y is 2. So now, just like every other problem, we can plug in what they give us into y equals mx plus b. We can plug in what they give us into y equals mx plus b. They're telling us that y is 2, m is 3 over 2, x is 5, plus b. If it helps you to write it as 5 over 1, go for it. So that way it's top times top, bottom times bottom. That way it'll give us 2 equals 3 times 5, which is 15, all over 2 times 1, which is 2, plus b. So last but not least, let's get b by itself. So let's move that 15 over 2 to the other side. So let's subtract 15 over 2 from both sides. That way those cancel. So if we have 2 minus 15 over 2, they're not like terms. I have to get an LCD. So if I have 2 over 1 and 15 over 2, what should our LCD be? 2. Thank you. So I can multiply the top and the bottom by 2. So that'll leave us with 4 over 2 minus 15 over 2. So 4 over 2 minus 15 over 2. So now they're like terms. So 4 minus 15 will give us negative 11 over 2 equals b. Negative 11 over 2 equals b. Great, now just putting it into our final answer. So y equals mx plus b form. Our slope is 3 over 2. Our b is negative 11 over 2. So y equals 3 over 2x minus 11 over 2. y equals 3 over 2x minus 11 over 2. How can I help you with this one? I think the next page is different. Yeah. So this is the last one with parallel perpendicular. How can I help you with this one before we go to something else on the next page? Ready? All right, so next they give us the actual graph of a line, and it says write the equation in slope-intercept form for the graph. Remember, our slope-intercept form is going to be y equals mx plus b. So now we can use the graph to find our m and our b. So just by looking at it, what's our y-intercept? 2. So it hits our y-axis at 2. So for our y-intercept, we know it's going to be 0, comma b, and we know it hits our y-axis at 2. Remember, this is our x-axis, this is our y-axis. It hits our y-axis at 2. It intercepts our y-axis at 2. So we know our b value is 2. And then now we need to find our slope. So we know our slope, which is our m value, is going to be rise over run. So let's find another point. Let's use this point down here. Over 4 up 0. By the way, if you don't like the whole rise over run thing, remember our slope is also y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. You have 2 points. You can plug these 2 points into this formula, y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1, and also get your slope. So some people are more visual learners, so either way that you want to do it is fine. So remember, we read math, we read English from left to right. So starting at this left point, going to the right point. Notice our scale is 2, so it's going to go by 2s. So those little tick marks kind of help me putting it in there. So how much are we going? How much are we rising? So to get from this point to this point, I'm going to go down 1, 2. So I'm going to go down 2. So down means -2. So down is in the negative direction, so down is -2. So we went down 2. How much are we running? Running means left and right. So I'm going to go down 2 and then over 1, 2, 3, 4. So I went to the right 4. To the right's in the positive direction. So my run is going to be +4. So our slope is going to be -2 over +4. What's our GCF between -2 and 4? 2. So that means I can factor or divide out a 2 from the top and the bottom. And that'll leave us with our slope being -1/2. So our slope is -1/2. So we found our b, we found our m, we're good to go. Let's put it into our final answer now. So y equals mx plus b. So y equals our m is -1/2 x, and our b is +2. So y equals 1/2 x plus 2. Done. So how could I help you with this one? Questions, comments, concerns? How could I help you with this one? Same thing for the next one, but instead of giving us the graph, it gives us just 2 points. So given 2 points, and Find the equation in terms of x of the line through the point -5, 0, and 5, -5. So it gives us 2 points. I can label this first point as x1, y1. That's my first point. I can label my second point as x2, y2. Trust me, please take 2 seconds to label it because I see so many people know what they're doing, but then on accident, like put the wrong thing, put the wrong number. So label it, take 2 seconds to label it so that way you hopefully don't make a little mistake like that. So first we need to find our slope. So we can use our slope formula, which is m equals y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. We already labeled it, so just putting our numbers where they go. So y2, which we labeled as -5, minus y1, which we labeled as 0, all over x2, which we labeled as 5, minus x1, so minus -5. So notice our formula says x minus, and we're subtracting -5. 2 negatives become a positive. So on the bottom, it's the same thing as saying 5 plus 5. So on the top, we have -5 minus 0, which is -5. On the bottom, we have 5 plus 5, which is 10. What does -5 over 10 simplify down to? -1 over 2. Perfect. Thank you. They both have a 5 in common. So I can factor or double out a 5 on the top and the bottom. And just like you said, it'll leave us with -1 over 2, -1/2. All right, so we found slope, which is good. Now we need to find our b. They don't give us our b. This is, remember our slope, our y-intercept is 0, b. These points aren't 0, b. So we have to use this to find our b value. So y equals mx plus b. We know m is -1/2. We can use either point. Which point do you want to use? The first one or the second one? Doesn't matter, same thing. First one, sure, great, thank you. So first one, so y is going to be 0, m is going to be -1/2, x is going to be -5 plus b. So we're going to plug in our slope being -1/2, and either point, doesn't matter which one, to find b. All right, so 0 equals -1/2 times -5. If it helps you to put it as -5 over 1, go for it. So that way it's top times top, bottom times bottom. So up top, -1 times -5, which is +5, all over 2 times 1, which is 2, plus b. So 0 equals 5 over 2 plus b. Getting b by itself, it's +5 over 2, so let's move that 5 over 2 to the other side. By doing the opposite, let's subtract 5 over 2 from both sides. That way 5 over 2 minus 5 over 2 cancels out. We're left over with 0 minus 5 over 2, which is -5/2, equals b. Great, so we found m, we found b. So then now just putting it together into our final answer, y equals mx plus b, y equals our slope, which is -1/2, x plus b, which is -5 over 2. So our final answer is y equals -1/2 x minus 5 over 2. And that's it. So 2 more on the next page that are a little bit different, a little bit trickier, that I want to talk about while we were together. Before we go there, questions? How can I help make this one easier for you? How can I help make this one easier for you? So if not, let's go to the next page. So last two for this section. It said, write the equation on the line shown. Be sure to use the correct variable. All right, so remember the equation is it wants the equal sign, like the whole equation. So I noticed this one's weird. This one's a straight vertical line. So let's find some points. So this point right here is over -5 up 0. This point right here is over -5 up 5. This point right here is over -5 up 10. Over -5 down -5. Over -5 down -10. This is straight vertical. I just wanted to find some different points. So what do you notice about these points? -5. Yep, they're all -5, right? So for all of them, x is always -5, no matter what. So our answer is going to be x equals -5. X is always -5. So because it was straight vertical, remember vertical and horizontal are our two weird ones. X is always -5. Now I brought up horizontal, so let's look up real quick. What if this was a horizontal case? So what if it was always that this is x and y, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's just use the same thing. If this was our line, if it was horizontal, this would be over 0 down -5. Let's say right here, this is over 5 down -5. Over -5 down -5. So for this one, no matter what, our y value is always -5. So for this line, it would be y equals -5 as our answer. So straight up and down is vertical, which will give us x equals, and horizontally across will give us y equals. Do you have to memorize that? No. Look at your points, and it'll tell you which one is which. So we have one more for this section before we go to the next one. Questions on this one? Before we go to the next one, questions on this one? All right, our last example for this section says y equals -7/4x minus 17/4, and we're going to write this in standard form. Remember, standard form is ax plus by equals c with no fractions. Ax plus by equals c with no fractions. So if we have y equals -7/4x minus 17/4, just like we talked about in module 7, how do I get rid of this denominator? How do I get rid of my fractions? Multiply. Fractions mean divide, so we're going to do the opposite. We're going to multiply. So let's multiply every single thing on both sides of the equation by our LCD. So what should our LCD be in this scenario? 4. Both denominators are just 4. So our LCD should be 4, which if you want to write it as 4/1, go for it. Just like we did in module 7, we're going to multiply that 4 to every single term on both sides of our equation. That'll leave us with 4y equals 4 times -7/4 minus 4 times 17/4. Notice I left it in factored form because I want my factors to cancel, which is what happens. 4s are gone. 4s are gone. I left out my x, I'm sorry. So we're left over with 4x equals, we're left over with 4y equals negative 7x minus 17. 4y equals negative 7x minus 17. All right, so we got rid of the fractions, which is good, but I want it to be ax plus by equals c. I want to move this negative 7x over here to the other side with the y. How do I move this negative 7x over here to the other side with the y? Add 7x. That way those cancel. So we're left over with 7x plus 4y equals negative 17. And that's it. This is in the form ax plus by equals c with no fractions. So we're good to go. That's our answer in standard form. And that's all of Module 9 Homework 2. All of Module 9 Homework 2. So questions, comments, concerns, how could I help you with this one before we go to Module 9 Homework 3, our last section for this test?